Hey friends, I am back in the kitchen doing a preserving project today. Today is salsa day. As always, I have Gracie, the faithful kitchen kitty. Hi, darling. She's like, what's going on here? These are my tomatoes. So what I have done is I've taken all my tomatoes that I had scored, and oops, that one's frozen, and cored. These are all frozen. Now I'm going to throw them all in my sink and let them thaw out. And as they thaw, these pieces of skin are going to peel right off, and I'll put those aside to make either tomato paste or powders. And all these tomatoes will go in my roaster, and this is going to start my canning process for salsa. Okay, so here's the situation. I have my mommy over here helping me today, and inside of my roaster oven, I have got a quadruple batch of salsa. So these are all skinned tomatoes. I'll put that back on there. And I use this Mrs. Wage's salsa mix to make my salsa. And they've got different flavors. This is a mild one. They've got medium, which I usually use, but this is what I happen to find. And each one of these spice packets goes for 6 pounds of fresh tomatoes, which is about 18 medium, which is how I measure them because they're not the right weight because I froze them. Does that make sense? There's a bunch of ice and stuff around them. So I just grab about 18 medium per spice packet. And then I'm going to add the vinegar to make sure that my acidity is correct for canning. And I'm going to add 1 pouch of this. And then I'm going to water bath can this. So I have got 18 times 4 tomatoes in here. And what's that? 74, 76, something like that. Medium tomatoes in here. This whole thing is a quadruple batch. So I'm going to add 4 packs of the salsa. And this should net me, somewhere on here it tells me how many it makes. I don't know where it does. Pour into containers. I guess I don't remember. I guess when I can, I'll let you know how many it makes. But I'm going to have plenty of salsa this year because that's my first batch. That's a quadruple batch, remember? And then my mom and I have been sifting through these, and as they melt, we're taking off the skins and we're saving those. You can use these, you can dehydrate them and turn them into tomato powder, which you can use to thicken spaghetti sauces, kind of like you would a tomato paste. You can make things with it. You can add more tomato flavor into soups and things. So I might do that. I might do like 1 dehydrator or 2 dehydrators full and then give the rest to the chickens. We'll see how much I end up with. And then we are taking these as we skin them and putting them into freezer bags to put them inside of my refrigerator. So tomorrow, when this is done, I will then put these ones in for another batch, and I might even end up with 3 batches full because I've got a lot of tomatoes. And then what I do with this, here's the next step. So these in here are fairly fresh. There's even a couple frozen ones probably shoved in there. This is going to cook down. So I'm just going to keep stirring this and making sure it's not burning until it cooks quite a bit down and all this water starts to go away. So once a lot of this water is evaporated, then what I will do is put an immersion blender in here. And that immersion blender, I'll just blend everything right in here. And then I'll let it sit again for a while to kind of condense down and thicken up before I go ahead and add my seasoning mix and let that cook for the time that it's supposed to cook. It says once you put this in here, you simmer for 10 minutes. So I will add this at kind of closer to the end. I'll probably let it sit for 30 minutes with the spice in there just because it's a big batch. But that's kind of the plan. So this will probably sit on low all night long tonight, just like this. So it is later that same night, about 8 o'clock. And this is what I got going on here. I've kept this in the slow cooker roaster oveny thing right around 300 for most of the afternoon with the lid off, and I'm trying to evaporate some water. But I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to turn it down, but But at first I'm going to take this immersion blender, and this is a beautiful thing to buy when you're doing batch cooking. It's got a charger on it. I plug it in the wall, and it's got a battery, and you charge it, and you just put it inside of whatever you're doing and blend it. My goal here for the night is to go to bed once all the big clumps are broken up. So any little big pieces I'm trying to break up so that this is a sauce, a thick sauce, but still saucy, so that it can start to evaporate any extra water and thicken up. And in the morning, ideally, it should be nice and thick, and I can add my spices, bring it to a simmer for 10 minutes, and then get it in the canner. Morning, friends. Let's check out the salsa. So here we go. After a night of sitting and cooking nice and low, like 175, 200, it's nice and thick. This is more the texture that I want as compared to how it was more runny and had water, water separating around it yesterday. So I am going to go ahead and add my sauce packet and then simmer it for 10 minutes. I'll turn the heat up. And after that, I can start putting it into jars. Quadruple batch, 4 packs of spices. And they make, other companies make different spice packs. This is just the one that my family happens to like. Again, this is the mild, but my next batch I'm going to do will be medium. I don't do the hot ones just because my family doesn't like the spicy too much. I'm going to finish mixing this in. I'm mixing it left-handed. I am right-handed. So if it looks like I'm broken, I'm just trying to be ambidextrous, and I am not. All right, I'm going to mix that all in. I'm going to crank up my heat up to about 300 and try and get a good simmer going. And then as soon as I do, I'll let it go for 10 minutes, and then we'll start putting it into jars. Okay, so this is my first quadruple batch. And I've got 16 done, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 jars. Now, even whatever your recipe says, you might end up with a 23, 22, 24, depending on how thick you like it, because as long as you cook it down, if you like it thinner, you might end up with more volume if you're not taking all that water out. So I'm ending up with 23 pints off a quadruple batch. And you want to put them into here, and then you want to knock them down and make sure you don't have any air bubbles. So you could take a fork or something in there and knock air bubbles out, which I already did. And you want to clean the rims. It's really important that you make sure this rim has got nothing on it, no little bits of tomato, no bacteria, nothing, so that that seal goes in good. So I'm going to clean the tops of all these. I'm going to set the rings on top and tighten these just to finger tight. You don't have to like wrench on them, just get them tight, which I'm gonna practice do with 2 hands. And then these are all gonna get water bath canned. 24 hours later, and I have 19 more pints of salsa. These ones just came out of the canner. So added to the ones from yesterday. I have tons and tons and tons. Now I've got dishes to do. And I have one more batch, so I'm going to clean out my roaster, and I've got one more batch to do before I'm done for the season. But this, I think, is going to be the end of the video. Hello, pretty salsa. That's it for now. I'm going to go out in the backyard and help my nephew get eggs. Have a good night, and I will see you soon.